Thanks for listening to the Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry, here to help educate, motivate, and put you on the right path to take control of your health through weekly discussions on topics in the medical field, public health arena, and in your community. And now your host, Dr. Barry.
And welcome to another episode of the Lunch and Learn community. I'm your host, everybody, Dr. Barry Pierre, your favorite board certified internist, founder of drbarrypierre.com, as well as the CEO of Pierre Medical Consulting, helping you empower yourself for better health with the number one podcast for patient advocacy, affirmation, and education. This week, we bring you a special guest of mine. This is a guest that is very familiar with the show, especially if you've been listening to this. Her amazing voice is on the introduction, has been on the introduction really since episode 1, I believe. I'd have to go back to see if she actually recorded my first episode, but I actually had my wife, Maria Davis-Pierre, who is the founder and CEO of Autism in Black, located in West Palm Beach, Florida. This organization aims to bring awareness to autism and reduce the stigma associated with the diagnosis in the Black community. As a mental health therapist, Maria primarily works with Black parents to provide support through education and advocacy training. Maria has been featured in Forbes, the New York Times, USA Today, and has collaborated with Microsoft. Maria's unique approach to coaching and counseling exemplifies her drive and motivation towards greater acceptance and overcoming the barriers and personal struggles associated with raising a Black autistic child. I know that sounds like a mouthful, but again, I would be underselling it if I did any less. And she is, obviously I get a lot of the fanfare because I'm a physician, but when I tell you my better half kind of runs the show, and there's going to be a time where she will be the most recognizable person in our family, and I truly believe it because of the work that she's doing. And we get a chance to talk about an amazing conference that, again, if you listen to the sponsor all this month for the past few weeks, the Inaugural Autism in Black virtual conference goes down now, especially if you listen to this as the episode releases next week, April 1st. And I please hope you got your tickets because it is going to be an amazing conference. And I had to get her on the show just to talk about everything that's going on. So like always, remember to subscribe to the podcast if you're not already subscribed. Leave us a 5-star review, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Drop some comments. You guys have been doing a great job leaving us the 5 stars. But dropping the comments, a little bit slacking, but that's okay. And just remember, not tell one friend, tell 10 friends on today's episode. Today's episode is sponsored by the Inaugural Autism in Black virtual conference. It is from April 1st to the 4th. It is a virtual conference going to be hosted by Maria Davis-Pierre, who is the CEO of Autism in Black. Get ready to join over 15 esteemed guest speakers who are going to help empower us. Guys, you know my motto, empower yourself for better health, who are going to help empower us to help serve our communities and our families who have the blessed opportunity to work with those in the autism space. General admission tickets are $99 and VIP tickets are $247. Go ahead and check out the link, which will be in the show notes, or go to drbarrypierre.com/AIB conference for more information. All right, Lunch and Learn community, you just heard another amazing introduction by a guest I know very well. And I'm excited to talk about an event that she's had in her thought for, quite some time, and to kind of see it come to fruition is such an amazing, thing to kind of witness, especially from the sidelines. So Maria, thank you again for joining the podcast. I know you're a frequent guest on the show.
Hi, Lunch and Learn community. Happy to be on the platform again, talking to you all.
And Lunch and Learn community, if you do not recognize that voice, that is the voice that is not only on the every introduction since, I think, episode 1, but it is the voice of my wife, Maria Davis-Pierre, a licensed clinical,
licensed mental health counselor.
Yeah, licensed. Yeah, Lunch and Learn community, I can't mess that up, right? Licensed mental health counselor, right? I want to mess those criteria up. So let's, we obviously, your resume is, spectacular. But for those who may have kind of missed it, kind of give a little quick little introduction on something that they may not, have heard about you, and who are you?
Okay. So, like Dr. Barry said, I am his better half. I am a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida, and I am the CEO and founder of Autism in Black Inc. Our mission is to serve Black parents who are raising autistic children through various means, but mostly empowering them to not only advocate for their children, but themselves as well. And then we also train organizations to be more culturally responsive to the Black disability community. And then we have the Autism in Black podcast, which gives a lot of great information. And now we have our first inaugural virtual conference coming up. So we're very excited.
And so let's talk about the inaugural conference. Like, what was your mindset behind it that made you feel like, you know what, like even though I'm giving all this information via books, via the podcast, via all kind of the live speaking events, that I figured I need a conference to kind of really, drive this home.
For me, there's so many things that don't get to our community. And when I say our community, I'm talking about the Black community. And I knew that to try to get a lot of the speakers that have been on the podcast, to get them in one event together to basically bridge that gap, meaning bridge that gap for us parents that don't get the information or we don't get it in time. And then also give the information to our professionals who are working with us on how to not harm us, how to have better outcomes when they're doing treatments with us, when they're interacting with us, when engaging with us. So that was really the fuel behind creating this conference on this magnitude, and also making sure that it was going to be accessible to the people that I am trying to reach. If you guys have been following Autism Black, you know that most everything we do is virtual, and that is intentional, because I know as a parent, a lot of times we can't get to events, live and in person. So I really wanted to make it accessible to the people that I'm trying to reach. So that is also why it is virtual and will continue to be virtual.
I love it because, especially with and during a pandemic, I know a lot of people may feel like, oh, they're doing a virtual conference because everyone's kind of doing a virtual conference. But that's really been something like that's really kind of been behind kind of your theme, as far as just being able to kind of reach out to the masses, especially in areas that can't be reached out to.
Exactly. From the beginning, everything with Autism in Black has been virtual, which is why when the pandemic hit, there wasn't much transition we had to do, because everything was already virtual for us. And that's how kind of the foundation of our organization is making sure that we are accessible to parents and families and organizations.
So let's talk about the conference. When is the conference? Like, what date was?
So the conference is April 1st through 4th, with the first being our VIP day, and then the second, third, and fourth being general admission for everyone. And we have 3 days packed full of great, amazing speakers. And then not only that, but every attendee gets a vault of recordings by presenters as well. We had so many amazing speakers fill out our conference proposal that we created the recording vault so that you guys could get the information that I wanted you to have. I couldn't say no to a lot of these people, so I created the vault so that you're getting the information that you need to better advocate for yourselves and your children.
And I love the aspect of, being able to kind of hold on to stuff, because a lot of times you go to conferences and, while you're there, you get the information, but then you go home and you're like, oh man, I wonder what that one speaker says. And you don't really have anything to kind of actual. So anyone who does attend this event, they'll essentially be able to get they'll keep the recordings. Is that what's the plan?
Yes. So they get lifetime access to the live sessions and the recording vault. So the live sessions will be recorded and added to the recording vault with the other recordings, and you get lifetime access to all conference materials. So about, let's say, like 2 weeks after the conference, we will have edited the live presentations and put them in the vault along with all the conference materials, and then they're yours to have.
I love it. So who's gonna be there? So obviously you have 3 days jam packed of information. Like, what are some? You don't have to list all of them. But what are some of like the keys people we should be looking for?
Well, you are our panel moderator and panelist for our parent panel. So we have, of course, Dr. Barry there, who's going to be, again, the panel moderator and a panelist for our parent panel session. We have our keynote speaker, Marinake, who is amazing. She is a self-advocate and also a parent to autistic children. She has spoken at the White House. She has many amazing books and has a book that is coming out. So she is our keynote, and she is going to be talking about her experiences as a autistic individual, and then talking about the intersection of race and disability. So I'm very excited for her keynote on Saturday. We also have Dr. Linda McGee and Dr. Marilyn Monterio. And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Marilyn Monterio is actually the creator of the MIGDIS, which is one of the assessments to evaluate for autism in children to give the diagnosis. So her and Dr. Linda McGee will be speaking on having more culturally aware evaluations. So making sure there's no bias, or as much taking out as much as possible in evaluations, because that is so important to our community, because we know that bias affects us, especially when it comes to evaluations. We have Dr. Ann Louise Lockhart, who's going to be doing a session on emotional regulation. That is so huge. So parents will learn tips to emotionally regulate themselves, and then how to help their children emotionally regulate. We have my great friend, Mauli Savan, who will be doing a session on the school discipline crisis, because we know that the school discipline crisis impacts our Black children more than any other race. So she will be giving tips on that and how to advocate for your children, and how professionals can help her on this fight for the school discipline crisis. And then we have so many other speakers that will be speaking as well. So it's going to be jam-packed full of information, learning, and fun.
And what I love about that is, the fact that you're driving home so many different aspects related to the care of our community, especially the Black community, especially when we talk about autism, when it comes to empowerment, when it comes to enforcement, when it comes to just kind of knowing, what you need to know, which I think a lot of times is half the battle, that we're just kind of unfortunately clueless of all of the rights that are really afforded to us. So definitely looks like you've got all of those dots kind of covered for us.
Yes, I wanted to make sure that we not only talk about advocating in the many different avenues in the school system, but what we can do outside of the school system, what parents can do for their own emotional well-being, so that we can be more present for our children, because it is exhausting, trying to constantly advocate through racism and bias. And we know the toll that it impacts us. So, how to have some self-care for yourself so that you can be better present for your children. So we want to cover all areas and make sure that you leave with actionable tips and tools that you can use from the first session that you attend to the last session. You'll be getting those actionable steps that you can put right into place.
So what has been, obviously, when you kind of announced that you were doing your inaugural conference, what has been the feedback that you've gotten?
So many people have been so supportive, sharing it far and wide. We have an attendee that's not in the United States that is coming, that I'm excited about. So, we are reaching, past the United States with our information. We have gotten so much support from our communities and saying that we need this information. That, who can they share it with? We've had amazing people sponsor parents that may not be able to afford, but they're doing sponsor scholarships so that parents can attend and get the information that they need. So we have been getting a lot of support.
And I think that's one of the things, especially when you when I know we've talked about this before, because Lunch Learning Community, especially if you're one of my long-term Lunch Learning Community members, like we kind of talked about the introduction of this organization and this company that she founded really a few years ago. And I'm not sure if we had this in mind, but we knew we wanted to touch the community. And just really seeing, how they're embracing autism in Black has been, such a really proud moment, especially for me. Obviously, because I could see like the follows, I see the likes, I see people sharing, just see people excited, just about it, and kind of seeing the lives that you're changing is definitely a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I never expected our organization to touch the many people that it has. Of course, that was, my intention going out, but, to actually see the amount of people that are responding and the support that we're getting, it just continues, to fuel me to continue to work hard with this organization and this platform to give you all the content that we do.
Now, I know since the last time, I think it's been a while since you've been on. Since the last time you've been on, when we talk about, you getting yourself out there, what have been some of the platforms that you've been able to be featured on since the last time you've been here?
Well, I have been in Forbes twice, New York Times. I've partnered with Microsoft, USA Today. So those are just some of the features that have happened since the last time we've spoken.
And I think that really just calls to testament that, this was definitely, an organization that was needed. This was definitely a community that had, I don't want to say was ignored, but again, it just didn't have the resources, and it didn't really, unfortunately, it didn't have the advocate that it has now. Right. And I think, once people can see the genuineness associated with autism in Black, I think that's why they're so easily drawn to it, because they can see like, wow, like this is an organization that's really for me. Whether you're a parent or, whether you're a healthcare worker in the field and you're taking care of, kids with autism or autistic children is definitely, again, just a beautiful sight to see.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that makes Autism in Black unique. It's because not only do we have the professional side that I, am aware of being a clinician, but having a child who is autistic, we walk this walk every day, as you know. So having a side where I can truly relate to other parents because, I'm walking that walk as they are. Even though our journeys may be different, but we experience a lot of the same things. So I think that's what, adds to the genuineness, is because we are going through it too. We are fighting this fight together. And then having that professional side to be able to bridge those two together to impact both sides. So I do think that is what makes Autism in Black unique.
And obviously, before we kind of let you go, like what is one thing you want, you're the people who will attend the conference, like what is one thing you'd want? If I know it's probably gonna be many that takeaway. What's the one takeaway that you'd like them to have?
So I'm going to give two takeaways. I'm going to give a takeaway for my parents and a takeaway for my professionals. For my parents, I definitely want to take away a lot of those stigmas from our community, the shame, the hurt, the guilt that we have, and leave you feeling empowered to better assist your children, to better assist yourself. So, that is my ultimate goal for parents. And then for professionals, I want to give you a true inside look at what Black families are fighting on a daily and why some of the things that we are fighting for are so difficult for us to get within our reach because of all the systems that are in place that oppress us. So having a better understanding of that so that you can be more empathetic and sympathetic to the families that you are serving, and have better outcomes. So those are my goals for parents and professionals.
When is the conference again?
April 1st through 4th. So we are talking next Friday for general attendance. So, get your tickets at autisminblack.org/conference so you can be in attendance and have some fun and learn a lot of things along with us.
I love it. And again, Maria, thank you for all that you do. Obviously, I'm biased, right? But I'm able to see the parents, right, and the professionals that you're reaching out and you're touching and you're changing lives. So, and sometimes, while you're in the know, while you're actually doing the work, it's sometimes difficult to kind of see like all of the accolades that are upon you because you're still busy ripping and moving. So, on behalf of me and all the community, especially of the autism and Black community, we thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Thank you for coming to the end of the episode. It is yours truly, Dr. Davis-Pierre. I want to give my undying thanks to you for your support. Just getting to the end of the episode means that you at least enjoyed today's episode. Hope you were empowered by today's episode. Please remember to share this episode with at least 2 people that you know that would be greatly affected if they did not listen to today's episode. And if you have not already done so, subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a 5-star review, especially on Apple Podcasts or wherever you can leave a review. Leave a review there because your support is so valuable for what we're doing here on the Lynch Learn and Everything with Pierre Medical Consulting. And if you have not done so, go ahead and join the listserv. To join the listserv is very easy. Just grab your phone right now. I'll pause. Join the listserv. You want to text Lunch Learn Pod. This is all going to be one word, Lunch Learn Pod, to 44222. And you'll be on the listserv. You'll know exactly when new episodes are coming out. You'll know about new episodes before they actually come out because I usually tell my listserv members, hey, this is what I'm working on. These are the guests that you should expect to hear for the week on. Thanks, guys. You have a blessed day, and I'm going to see you guys next week.